Hey, believe it or not, we're up here hunting sheep. We're in Montana. It's a late hunt. You wait for the weather to move in, push those sheep off the mountain. We got 40 to 50 mile an hour winds up here. And apparently Aaron missed the weather forecast. We're a little early, I think. We figured there's no use hunting sheep or staying up here on the mountain if we can't hit anything anyway. Of course, Aaron's always smart, you know what, says I couldn't hit it anyway, so we're gonna take a break, shoot across this lake. We've got some rock faces up there. Let's see if we can hit it. Heck, if we can't, we might as well go down to the cafe, get something to eat. I've got one of our lighter weight carbon guns. You know, with this wind coming down this canyon, I think that's gonna affect me a lot more than the wind. Just being able to hold this lighter gun. It's real light in the fore end, holding it steady enough on this rock, 750 yards over there. This is a situation where you want somebody that's doping the wind for you, because it's coming in gusts. We're up to 45 miles an hour at times, down to 30. So all it's got to do is change that 10, 15 miles an hour, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20%, and we're off no matter what. So what a real good wind doper and a good gun. We'll see if we can get it done. 750 yards over here on this rock. It's all over the place. We had a reading of 8 up to 36. I think if we got out here, you know, it's starting to quarter just a little bit. If we got out here, we'd measure that closer to 30. Can't hardly breathe, the wind's blowing right in my face. It's gonna be a tough shot. I got my rangefinder here. I can range those rocks. It's 754 yards. Once I have a firing solution in my rangefinder, I can hit this arrow key right here, one of these keys, and it will give me a windage hold correction based on a 5 mile an hour wind all the way up to a 50 mile an hour wind. So I need to dope my wind good. I'll figure out what I need to hold by just tapping this button on my rangefinder. We'll take that shot. I'm gonna hit it. Aaron's gonna be sad he's gotta buy me breakfast this morning. Just about a minute and a half, right? Held for a 25 mile an hour wind. We hit about 7 inches to the right of where we were just shooting at. It's a good shot. Elevation was perfect. The spot that we're shooting at is a little piece of snow, and it's only measured about a ½ minute tall. So it's only about 3.5, 4 inches tall by about that wide. So we're shooting at a spot about this big. We just missed by that far. First shot, 25 mile an hour wind. That's pretty good. I think we should just keep hunting. I'm gonna try one more, see if I can't hit the snow. Got it. Both shots would have been kill shots. The one we just held a minute too much wind, 7 inches too much wind. Made a correction. There's a dead sheep right there.
I'm Mike Davidson. This segment is about external ballistics. Now, fortunately for us, we're going to calculate our external ballistics with a ballistics program. So we just need to be familiar with the input terms and the calculated outputs. We're looking for the calculation of the drop of our bullet and the calculation of the wind deflection. Now when we look at the inputs of a ballistic program, we're looking for the muzzle velocity. We're also looking for the bullet's ballistic coefficient value. Finally, we're looking for the air density. Now let's start with the muzzle velocity. Now just because the manual gives you a number doesn't mean that your rifle will behave the same. You have a lot of variables. The question is, with a chronograph, do we get the actual number for our muzzle velocity? And in some ways you can say yes, you do get your number. But even a chronograph has some errors. So we need to understand where some of those errors come from and if there's anything that we can do to mitigate that. The next term that we need to talk about is the ballistic coefficient. Now, ballistic coefficient is a number that describes how efficient our bullet is as it penetrates through the air. So more efficient means it penetrates better. Now there's a few terms or a few things that make up that bullet's ballistic coefficient. One of them is weight. The other one that we have is cross-sectional area. Another thing that's really, really important in that ballistic coefficient of the bullet is the form factor. Now if you think about it, it makes sense. The form factor describes the shape of the bullet. So what we need to realize is that the manufacturer provides that number to us. It's on the box, it's in a reloading manual. That number is a good number to start with. Now if we look at air density, we're going to boil our air density down to elevation and temperature. So we've talked about some of the inputs or some of the main variables that define our ballistic profile. Now our ballistic profile is both our drop and our wind deflection. Now drop is commonly referred to as trajectory, and this is due to gravity and air resistance. The bullet is accelerating towards the earth because of gravity about 32 feet per second, and that gives us that shape, that parabolic shape or that trajectory. Now in real conditions we have to add atmosphere. We have to add air molecules that bullet's trying to penetrate through and get out of the way. We also need to know about the efficiency of our bullet, so we're going to add that ballistic coefficient number into our initial velocity. And what that implies is that our initial velocity is going to decay as that air resistance does work against our bullet, so it's going to change the shape of our trajectory. Okay, we've got a pretty good handle on the inputs and our ballistic profile, and specifically our trajectory. Now we need to understand how to compensate for that trajectory so that we can make corrections in the field and make accurate shots. Now one way to do it is to hold our system up. So we've got a scope and we've got a rifle system here, and we've got some reticle right here, and we've got a crosshair in it. And if we don't have a ballistic reticle and it's just a standard reticle, we're just going to basically hold this whole system up, and it's going to elevate the rifle barrel so that trajectory drops in on our target. Another way to do it is to calculate the angular correction required to adjust our rifle scope. And in this situation, we'll just adjust the scope by turning the turret, and if we need 12 minutes of angle to shoot 600 yards, it will raise that muzzle up 12 minutes of angle so that it impacts on our target at 600 yards. So there's a couple different options on how we correct for our calculated trajectory using our rifle systems. Wind deflection is the second component of our ballistic profile that we need to discuss. And usually it's quartering, whether it's towards us or away from us. And that wind quartering can be broke down into two component vectors. Basically one that is parallel with our line of sight and one that's perpendicular to the line of sight. Now that velocity vector, that crosswind velocity that's perpendicular to our line of sight, we need to compensate for that. It's just the same as trajectory. Either we can hold it in the scope or we can dial it on our adjustment. External ballistics is a very complicated topic. Now we've discussed a lot of different things, from our input variables, ballistic coefficient, muzzle velocity, air density, to our calculated outputs for bullet drop or trajectory and our wind deflection. Now what we need to understand is that it's actually very simple to use a ballistics program, to put those inputs in, and to calculate those outputs. And we also know how to make those adjustments for drop and wind, whether we dial or hold with a reticle.
Hi, I'm Craig Thomason, and welcome to this week's hunting segment here on Long Range Pursuit. I'm the marketing director, and part of the fun of my job is getting to meet new people at the shooting schools each year. Now, Terry's been through our school a couple of different times, and I'll tell you what, he can really shoot his 7mm. He sent the rifle in last year. We upgraded it to the new G7 scope. He's practiced up, and he's ready for his mule deer hunt with western lands in northern Utah. Now, this is a cooperative wildlife management unit, which allows Terry to hunt in early September. Now, Terry's been after this big 4-point buck for 2 seasons now, and Travis has got him set up in a good position where they know this buck's coming through. Now let's join Travis and Terry and see if he can close the deal and all that practice has paid off.
Okay, opening morning here in Utah. Got client Terry Fricks. We're excited. We've seen a pretty big typical. We're gonna go see if we can't get a look at him this morning. .802, 100 yards. We can use this big cedar to screen us.
Let's get to that cedar
We can
there.
get 100 yards.
Yeah.
Let's go. I like this buck, Fricks.
Yeah.
He's a big typical. I think you need to take a look at him, make sure you like him, but
Okay.
take a look.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got him. Well, I think that's our deer there. Yeah. It's a good deer. Big deer.
You want to take the
I think that's the one we've been chasing for sure.
I'll be calling you yardages. $745. That's the corrected. $745.
$745. You got the correction in.
Yeah.
All right, we're good to go.
Ooh, good shot. Good shot. Put another one in, and you got him here, Fricks. He's gonna fall over right there. He's gonna give you one more shot if you'd like it. Right there. He's still on his feet.
Huh?
He's still on his feet. He's sick. Can you just see his back right there? He's
No,
far left. He's the furthest deer left. He might even follow. He's gonna tank over on us right there.
Yep.
Yep,
there he goes.
Just went down.
Way to go.
Nice shooting, Mr. Fricks. That's a huge deer.
He's down.
He's down.
I saw him.
Nice shot. Put it right. Nice shot, Terry.
Huh?
Sweet.
We've been after this deer for 2 years, the second deer, man. He gave us a slip last year, and then, well, we kind of decided he needed to grow, but
He didn't give us another 30 seconds. We'd been working back in on him somehow. He was going to get over that lip when he's done. Nice.
oh wow.
Nice shot. You got it.
All right. Let's go get him. Got it? Oh yeah.
Sweet.
Life is good.
Sweet.
All right.
Oh man. Look at that, Terry. Look at those
That's
fours.
Man.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. Look at that shot. Oh man. Shooting machine. Look at the tank body on him. Oh my head. We've been after it.
We've been chasing this thing for a while.
Oh man.
Oh
This
man.
is a good go to camp day.
Look at that. And no ground
well.
shrink here. Look at that
Oh,
mass.
Look at the mass.
You know, that's just what we
Good,
thought
he's
he
got
was.
everything.
Woo! It's great when a plan comes together.
Oh man, I'm so excited. You know, if I can get you laying down somewhere, in my opinion, you'll whack it anywhere from 0 to 1,000. And boy, that sure worked.
Yeah, it did. Well, it wound up 745 yards.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt good about the shot. Been practicing that shot. You know, out to 1,000 yards. Got a lot of time invested. I know the gun shoots. So, you know, felt good about the whole deal.
In our last segment, we discussed external ballistics and the importance of understanding the different inputs that create the calculated outputs for both your drop and your wind deflection. Now, what we need to do is take the next step forward and explore a ballistics program. Now, we're going to use the free calculator at g7.com. You need to log in and create a password if you haven't already. And once you're there, you have some options. The first thing that we want to do is enter our bullet ballistic coefficient, the bullet's weight, and the muzzle velocity that you measure 15 feet from your barrel. So the bullet BC can be listed on your manufacturer's box or in a load manual, or we can go to the bullet BC lookup table. This selector will allow you to pick a different manufacturer and in this case we'll do a Berger, and the caliber, and the weight. And let's use a 3,025 feet per second as our muzzle velocity. All right, so in the third section of configuring your environmental data, we're going to look at the air density and the wind information that you're going to experience in the field. So at our shooting range, we're going to be at 4375. Now you'll notice that the temperature and the station pressure were both updated for that altitude. It automatically calculates the standard temperature and station pressure for that altitude. But we're going to update this because I'm shooting this fall and it's relatively warm. We're going to be at 70 degrees. Now that won't change your station pressure. If I'm at the range and I measure the actual station pressure, I can enter that value here and it will be even more accurate than using the equivalent station pressure for that altitude. Relative humidity, I'm going to leave that at 50%. You can verify this for your own satisfaction, but changing the humidity has a very small effect on your ballistic calculation. For wind data, I'll just click on this wind input feature and I'll just drag a 10 mile per hour. Now see, the magnitude changes as you make the arrow longer or shorter, and then the direction changes as you pull it around the clock. So I want a 3 o'clock wind, which is basically a crosswind, at 10 miles per hour. And I'm going to save that, and that will automatically input that into the program. So we have 3 o'clock, 10 mile per hour wind. So the environmental data is complete. We'll move on to the configure sighting data section. Now here we've got just some basic information about your gun, how you've got your zero set up. Scope height is measured from the center of your bore to the center of your scope. Now we're running about a 1.8. You can either use the up and down arrows, or you can highlight the section and type over it. Zero range 200, that's a fairly standard zero range, we're going to leave that. And our zero height is 0. Now a zero range of 200 with a zero height of 0 is approximately equivalent to a zero range of 100 with a zero height of 1.25 inches. So that zero height can change based on how high you're sighting your gun at the range you're zeroing. Now the inclination angle is the angle that you have from your line of sight to your target. And you can either measure that in degrees, or we prefer to use the cosine indicators, which is a 0 to 1 input. So it could be something like a 0.98, and that's approximately 11 degrees. So it also will convert that for you. And finally, the last input that we have is the click value. For the new G7 rifle scope, we have a 1/4 MOA click value. That means that for every click, it adjusts the elevation 1/4 of a minute of angle. That's approximately equal to 1/4 inch at 100 yards. Now that we've got our validated inputs, we want to calculate our drop chart. So we'll just go up here and calculate by pressing on the drop chart tab, or we've got a couple calculate buttons at the top right or bottom right sections. Now what we want to do is take a look at printing drop charts and printing range cards. Now the drop chart's pretty easy. That's going to just basically print on a full sheet of paper the information that we just calculated. So I want to recommend that you spend the time and learn how to use it, get familiar with the program, print your little drop charts, your cards, paste them to your stocks, take them to the field, do your trajectory validations, and also compare and select cartridges with the ballistics program.